I don't have a problem with the WNBA players asking for a raise. The WNBA is on a hot streak. I don't care about the previous 24, 25 years. As an investment, it's starting to pay off. And so this week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, Kelsey Plum for LA had to take a dig at Caitlin Clark.
Colin Cowherd just called out Kelsey Plum, and frankly, it was long overdue. While Caitlin Clark is actively reshaping the WNBA into a rising force of revenue and relevance, Plum seemed to take a jab at the very person fueling that transformation. Cowherd didn't mince words, and his take on the undercurrents of envy within the league might just surprise you. So, what exactly did he say? And how does he draw a bold comparison between Caitlin Clark and none other than Michael Jordan himself? If you stand behind Caitlin, drop a golden goose in the comments. Let's dive in.
T-shirt, just United Front was determined this morning that we had a meeting for, and not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Oh boy.
Want to grasp the true scale of this transformation? Imagine this. For more than 20 years, WNBA players were crammed into budget flights, yes, even having to pay out of pocket for a bottle of water. These athletes pushed through full seasons, in half-empty arenas, representing franchises that bled money season after season. Merchandise sales were practically non-existent, so much so that fans couldn't get their hands on a jersey, even if they tried.
But why do you take a shot at the golden goose, Caitlin Clark? You guys were flying before she arrived on one of those airlines that made you pay for a cup of water. One of those airlines that is the planes are the color of a highlighter. Now you're flying private. Okay, if you're in a band and you're staying at the Motel 6 and you add a band member and now you're at the Ritz-Carlton, keep your issues to yourself. All right, you went from a Motel 6 in a sketchy part of town to a 4 Seasons in the shopping district. Stop talking.
Then Caitlin Clark entered the scene, and the impact was immediate and massive. Merchandise sales skyrocketed by an astonishing 500%. League-wide attendance surged by 40%, with previously half-empty arenas now packed to capacity in multiple cities. Teams that had long struggled financially found themselves in the black for the first time in years. The Indiana Fever, once considered one of the league's most financially troubled franchises, suddenly had a wait list for season tickets.
I don't mind the T-shirts. I think you have leverage. I think you deserve more than 9%. But it's just misstep after misstep. It's time to grow up, girls. Fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow. Right? She got you an upgrade to a better hotel as a band member.
What really set Colin Cowherd off was this. The very athletes who once endured cramped budget flights and modest accommodations are now traveling on private jets, staying in upgraded hotels, and seeing real boosts in their paychecks. The league's financial turnaround has been so significant that players are enjoying a level of comfort and support that was unthinkable just a couple of years ago. And yet, despite all these gains, a few seasoned players continue to criticize the one individual, largely credited with sparking this transformation.
I think they deserve a big raise, maybe not 50% of revenues, because NBA stars, there's a lot of them, and they move the needle. The WNBA stars, well, there's one that moves the needle. And here's the other thing to remember. Caitlin Clark's already rich. She made $11 million this year alone in endorsements off the court. So regardless of how these negotiations go, she's set. Nobody else is, right? So when somebody joins the band and everything gets upgraded, just be happy.
Let's be honest about what's really taken place. Caitlin Clark has been the driving force behind transforming the WNBA from a financially struggling league into a thriving enterprise. Whenever she steps on the court, viewership surges. Major sponsors are eager to invest because they know she draws attention. Social media buzz has skyrocketed, and young fans are snapping up her jerseys as fast as they're produced. Every player in the league benefits from this momentum, whether they acknowledge it or not. This is exactly where Colin Cowherd's frustration hits its peak. He's watched this shift unfold firsthand and struggles to understand why some athletes would criticize the very person fueling their league's resurgence. After years of challenges, now that progress is finally being made, why turn against the source of that success?
I know you wanted your song to be the first one they played. You wanted to make up the set. But I mean, it's not the t-shirts. You're going to do fine. I'd scale back on the Caitlin Clark angst.
Colin Cowherd captured it perfectly when he likened the WNBA's transformation to moving from a budget motel in a rough neighborhood to a luxury suite at the Four Seasons. That analogy sums up the impact Caitlin Clark has had on the league. Everything from travel accommodations and player treatment to financial security and national media recognition has leveled up because of the attention she's brought to women's basketball. Yet some veteran players still seem trapped in an outdated mindset, as if nothing has changed. They're enjoying the new benefits while criticizing the very person who helped elevate the league. The recent WNBA All-Star voting only underscored this tension. The process is relatively simple. Fans vote for their favorites, coaches select the reserves, and players cast ballots for peers they believe are deserving. But it matters more than people realize. All-Star selections influence sponsorship opportunities, shape legacies, and play a big role in how players are remembered. For rising stars especially, making the All-Star team isn't just an honor, it's a stepping stone to greater recognition and future success.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds. But it's interesting, for years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like.
So, where did the fans place Caitlin Clark among WNBA guards? At the very top, she ranked first. But when it came to her peers, the story was shockingly different. Fellow players ranked her 9th. That's right, 9th. The athlete responsible for drawing record crowds, boosting merchandise sales, and bringing unprecedented attention to the league was barely acknowledged by those who are directly benefiting from her impact. And this wasn't a tight race either. The disparity between the overwhelming fan support and the lack of recognition from players was glaring and hard to ignore.
Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows, and I've said this for years, when the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like. Don't fight it. When Puka Nacua went in the 5th round of the Rams and they suddenly in camp went, oh, we just found a new number 1 receiver. He's better than Cooper Kupp. They didn't fight it. Did you think when you watched Tom Brady at the Combine, that looked like the GOAT? They had just signed Drew Bledsoe to a $103 million contract. That was a lot of money back then. And then a year in, they're like, we're going to go with Brady. They didn't fight it.
Let's be honest about what this ranking really says. It wasn't about on-court performance, Caitlin. Clark was delivering standout numbers and shattering records. Statistically, she more than earned all-star recognition, but this felt personal, not professional. Think back to other generational talents in sports. When LeBron James entered the NBA spotlight, veteran players acknowledged his skill, even if they weren't fans of the media frenzy. When Tiger Woods took over golf, longtime pros may have felt overshadowed, but they still respected his influence. With Clark, the pushback feels noticeably different, more pointed, and frankly, more petty. Colin Cowherd didn't mince words when reacting to the voting results. He called out the behavior for what it was, pure pettiness. He highlighted how some WNBA players appeared ungrateful toward the very athlete who revitalized the league. Instead of supporting what he described as the golden goose, some were actively resisting the very progress that benefits them all.
You know, there's obviously a racial component here. The WNBA players, they just don't like what the wave looks like. They wanted to fly private. They wanted to be more popular. They wanted a better deal in the CBA, which they'll get. They wanted sold out arenas. They got it. They don't necessarily think it should be this. But again, you can't fight it. You just never know what success looks like.
What makes the situation even more disappointing is the fact that players like A'ja Wilson and Kelsey Plum have seen real benefits from Caitlin Clark's rise. As the league garners more attention, their personal brands have grown too. Better media coverage, increased fan engagement, and improved working conditions, all driven, in part, by the wave Clark brought with her. Their salaries are rising and the league is finally seeing meaningful financial growth. Yet when it came time to show a basic level of professional respect through all-star voting, Clark was ranked behind players who have had a fraction of her impact. That disconnect speaks volumes.
Every company in the country would love to go viral every day for free marketing. If they knew how to do it, they'd all be viral every day. Like, you just don't know. Is it authentic? It touches people. There's a tentacle of emotion involved, and suddenly some small town kid goes viral. or a singing frog. Who knows? I wouldn't have guessed that Caitlin Clark would be this transformative. I wouldn't have guessed Tom Brady would be the GOAT. Don't fight it. The wave, the meteor, doesn't necessarily look like you think it's going to look.
The All-Star voting drama is just one part of a larger pattern we've seen play out all season. From excessive physical play to clearly intentional contact, it's become evident that Caitlin Clark is being targeted and off the court. The frustration seems rooted in the fact that a second-year player has appended long-standing dynamics within the league. For some veterans, this shift has been hard to accept. Rather than celebrating the growth she sparked, a few have responded with resentment through voting decisions and aggressive play. Ironically, they're punishing the very person who helped elevate their platform.
People are saying, hey man, this league has never made money. It's an investment. It's now going to make money. And by the way, this is the least profitable, arguably, it'll be over the next 10 years. It's only going to get more profitable as women's basketball gets better, as the Caitlin Clark momentum train gets bigger. I mean, this year, she's not playing well, she's hurt, she's not there for all the games, so this is actually not as great as it could be. Like Michael Jordan, hurt year 2, next 12 years were legendary. That's what it's going to be.
Colin Cowherd drew a bold but fitting comparison that puts Caitlin Clark's impact into sharp focus, one that might make some people uncomfortable. He likened Clark's arrival in the WNBA to Michael Jordan's debut in the NBA. Both entered their leagues as electrifying rookies and, almost immediately, began transforming the landscape around them. Jordan turned the NBA into a global powerhouse. Clark, in her own way, is doing something similar for the WNBA, driving unprecedented viewership, media attention, and commercial growth. The parallels are hard to ignore, and it's surprising more people aren't openly acknowledging them.
Caitlin Clark's gotten really good really fast. It's like the end of year 1 for Michael Jordan or year 3 for Michael Jordan. She's gotten really good really fast. And you got to put a body on her, or you got to double team her, or she's going to embarrass you. She's shooting 33-footers. And what happened last night's a byproduct of that. This is what happened to MJ. She's number 1 and 2 in every offensive stat. She's hitting more threes this season than Steph Curry did in his first MVP season, and her game embarrasses you.
The physical toll both Michael Jordan and Caitlin Clark have faced reveals just how disruptive their presence has been. Jordan famously endured the Jordan rules, a brutal defensive strategy by the Detroit Pistons aimed at wearing him down through relentless contact. Similarly, Clark has been the focus of repeated targeting and excessive physicality throughout her rookie season. Colin Cowherd noted that, much like early NBA officials struggled to adequately protect Jordan, WNBA officials appear overwhelmed by how to handle Clark's treatment on the court. In many cases, what's being allowed borders on inappropriate, raising concerns about consistency and player safety.
It's a little bad boys Pistons with MJ. For the record, Caitlin Clark got up. She wasn't hurt. She did more trash talking. She hit more threes. She remained remarkable, just like all the great. If you respect women, stop pandering. She's tough. She's feisty. She likes to taunt and talk. And nobody quite knows what the hell to do.
When Caitlin Clark missed a game due to injury, it echoed a familiar moment from Michael Jordan's early career. Back then, physical intimidation was a tactic used to contain Jordan, and the officiating struggled to adapt. The same challenge now faces the WNBA, with Clark being a generational talent. The league is being forced to confront a critical question: how to strike the right balance between protecting its biggest star and maintaining the intensity of competition. Just like the NBA once had to evolve around Jordan, the WNBA now finds itself at a similar crossroads.
Steph Curry's first couple years in the league. Thank God for Draymond Green. And by the way, this league, they knew what they were getting into, right? And I'll get to this in a second, but they brought Sophie Cunningham over in a trade for a reason. She's the youngest black belt in the state of Missouri's history, 6 years old. They brought her over to protect Caitlin Clark because they saw this puppy coming. The league doesn't quite know what to do, but the Fever did. And so, again, you got to put a body on her. You got to get...
Both the Chicago Bulls and Indiana Fever recognize the same truth. When you have a transformative star, you need to protect them. For the Bulls, that meant bringing in Charles Oakley to shield a young Michael Jordan from the relentless physicality of opponents. Decades later, the Indiana Fever followed a similar playbook, acquiring Sophie Cunningham to bring toughness and protection for Caitlin Clark. As Colin Cowherd pointed out, this isn't just strategy, it's smart business. When your franchise revolves around a generational talent, building a team that can protect that investment becomes priority number one.
Go look at the history of basketball. High school, college, WNBA, NBA. If there's an offensive player and they're humiliating you, Steph, Shaq, MJ, Caitlin, what do? You can't trap her, she'll dribble through it. You gotta put a body on her. You gotta double team her. You try to get in her head with trash talking. It's not working at all. It's the ultimate compliment, in my opinion.
The numbers don't lie. Both merchandise sales and TV ratings tell the same story. Colin Cowherd described Caitlin Clark as a dynastic ratings changer, a term once used to describe a young Michael Jordan. Like Jordan, Clark instantly became must-watch television. The WNBA is now experiencing the kind of surge in viewership and fan engagement that mirrors what the NBA saw during Jordan's rise. But with that meteoric ascent comes an uncomfortable truth. Not everyone in the league is thrilled. Just as some NBA veterans resented Jordan's early spotlight, Clark is facing similar tension. The All-Star voting drama only underscores that the unease among some veteran WNBA players is very real and not just about basketball.
And so the first year Caitlin Clark was in the WNBA, they were hazing her. They're not hazing her anymore. They're just trying to figure out how the hell to stop her. It's not hazing. It's, all right, traps, pressure. So the Fever saw it coming. They went and got Sophie Cunningham, 6-year-old black belt. This is what the Bulls did with Charles Oakley to protect Michael Jordan.
The connection between college stardom and professional impact is impossible to ignore. Michael Jordan's fame at North Carolina carried directly into the NBA, reshaping the league. Caitlin Clark's rise at Iowa is having a similar effect on the WNBA. Both athletes brought massive, devoted fan bases, with them ushering in waves of attention and new viewership. That's why Colin Cowherd believes Clark's current challenges are just the beginning of her evolution. Like Jordan, early resistance and pressure will only sharpen her game. For the WNBA, the path forward isn't in resisting change, it's in embracing the momentum Clark is bringing.
Caitlin Clark now is like kerosene to the physicality flame. So you have physicality in this league, and now you get this flashy player, and they don't know how to officiate her, they don't know how to defend her. But I would say, when I hear this, Colin, the WNBA, Colin, has got to do something. Yes, they do. Understand, this is the arc of a new superstar in your league. It'll start with hazing, it'll go to physicality, it'll go to flagrants, it may go to technicals. You'll eventually have to get a Sophie Cunningham or a Charles Oakley. I mean, Wayne Gretzky did this for years. They figured it out in hockey. How do you stop Gretzky? Oh, we can't. How do you stop MJ? We can't. How do you stop Caitlin Clark? You guys understand, this is the worst she'll ever be. She's getting better, and they can't stop her.
Colin Cowherd wrapped his take with a bold prediction. The future of the WNBA runs through Caitlin Clark. Whether some veteran players welcome it or not, her rising influence is reshaping the league's trajectory. Cowherd believes the WNBA is finally on the brink of a long-awaited breakthrough, and Clark is the key. This goes beyond one player. It's about a complete evolution of women's basketball. The league now faces a clear choice: rally around the momentum Clark brings, or risk being left behind. The stakes are real. TV contracts, sponsorship deals, and player salaries all hinge on sustaining this growth. Cowherd made it plain: this is the WNBA's moment. Miss it, and there might not be another like it anytime soon.
Intensity and heat create steel. This will only make Caitlin Clark a better player. It will only make the Fever more championship ready. And the Indiana fans, good for you. You're going to have the great watch of the next 15 years, because they're never trading her. She's the Steph Curry. They're never trading her.
Look at how other major leagues handled moments like this. When generational talents arrive, the smart veterans evolve. They lean in, find synergy, and rise with the wave. That's exactly what players like Lexi Hull, Sophie Cunningham, Kelsey Mitchell, and Olia Boston are doing. Instead of resenting Caitlin Clark's spotlight, they've embraced it. They've built chemistry, backed her through adversity, and positioned themselves as part of the league's most exciting story. History will remember them as teammates in transformation, not obstacles to progress, because they chose partnership over pettiness, and that choice will pay off. So what happens if the entire WNBA leans in? Imagine 2025 with packed arenas as the baseline, not the exception. Sponsorship deals that actually move the financial needle. Little girls showing up to school in WNBA jerseys because their heroes aren't just college stars, they're pros. On prime time, and television networks and bidding wars for broadcasting rights. That's the future Cowherd sees if the league commits to this moment. But it starts with unity. Ride the wave or risk getting washed away.
Now, Caitlin Clark is obviously the jet fuel. Half the audience goes when she's not there, but that's okay. It took Conor McGregor to the UFC and John Jones. It sometimes in emerging leagues, it takes a superstar. And now, America is all into UFC. But it does take sometimes these special athletes. And it can get really, really bumpy.
But here's the reality: if the resistance continues, the league risks a split. Those who ride the Caitlin Clark wave to relevance, and those who get caught swimming upstream against their own progress. The choice couldn't be clearer, yet some players are making it harder than it needs to be. Cowherd didn't mince words. Clark will define the next decade of women's basketball, with or without locker room politics. The data proves it. The fans are here. The money's already flowing. She's the face of the league, whether some veterans like it or not. The WNBA can either rally behind that momentum or watch certain players get left behind while others thrive. Because this transformation isn't asking for permission, it's already in motion. And Cowherd's message, crystal clear: stop resenting the golden goose and start realizing the gift you've been handed. The WNBA is on the verge of something it's never had before: mainstream relevance, sold-out crowds, real broadcast leverage, and generational growth. Fighting against that is not just unwise, it's self-sabotage. You want to support real change in women's basketball? Back Caitlin Clark and the smart teammates who get it, like Lexi Hull, Aaliyah Boston, Sophie Cunningham, and Kelsey Mitchell. They see the future, and they're moving toward it. 2025 could be the WNBA's breakout year, but only if the league stops pulling against itself and starts pushing forward together. If you believe in the movement, drop a golden goose in the comments, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This story's just getting started, and you won't want to miss what's next.